Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox, along with my two co-hosts, Clem and Gia, for a special recap and review of The Marvels. Now, this was a movie that we weren't necessarily stoked for. We weren't rooting against it by any means, but I don't think we were expecting the world out of this movie. I would say after seeing it, it was a little better than I expected. And I know we're probably going to go in on some of the stuff that we didn't love, but I'll start by saying that it was a little better than I expected, and for that, I was grateful. Clem, we'll start with you. What are your overall broad strokes thoughts on The Marvels?
I think The Marvels was the entire vibe around The Marvels was as much about The Marvels and the trailer as it was about the current state of the MCU lately. Right? Not just, I'm not talking Loki season 2. I'm not talking Guardians. I'm talking basically the last 2 years worth of projects that has caused 1,000 think pieces on superhero fatigue and is the MCU dead? But because of that, AJ is giving his opinion upstairs, I could hear. Because of that, we went in with lowered expectations, and I think The Marvels is kind of like benefiting from everyone's expectations being basically rock bottom, as it should be with, again, the last 2 or so years worth of projects, that I think it was better than expected, which, again, expected was like 0 on the Rotten Tomatoes scale. It was definitely higher than that. So I'm counting that as a win for Marvel, but then like you see, like it was like the lowest box office opening in the history of the MCU. So there's plenty of L's to go around as well. So that's kind of my overarching thoughts on it all. How about you, Gia?
Yeah, I agree, Clem. I feel like I went in with the same mindset. I was like, oh God, been seeing a lot of trash talk on Twitter about this. I feel like I'm not going to like it. But from the get-go, it captured my attention throughout the entire thing. I think a very weak villain, which was one of its biggest downfalls. She just didn't have that, especially comparing her to someone like Kang or someone like, I always forget the Guardians 3 guy's name, but he was so
the High Evolutionary.
Good. Yes, High Evolutionary, yes. He was so good. So to compare her to him, it's like apples and oranges. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. There were certainly some scenes I thought were very stupid. But for the most part, I had a good laugh. I feel like it needed more time. I felt like it was too short. And some things I just felt like were very rushed. But besides that, it was fine.
Did you guys feel like they might have changed the edit at some point or changed the story? Like I just felt it was uneven and it didn't really flow. And I don't know if that's how the movie always was, or they changed stuff along the way. Because I was just like, wait, this doesn't seem to be adding up with that. And I just felt like it was a little disjointed at some parts. I was also, cards on the table, gonna just be honest here with the audience. You guys already know this. I went into the theater, which again was pretty empty. I go to my back row in the corner, so I'm not bothering anyone. I basically treated this like a Disney Plus show, as people said you should watch it. So I turned the phone on all the way the lowest brightness so I wouldn't bother anyone. And I kind of would like just check my phone here and there. I was that guy in the movie theater because you're just not going to get my unabated attention for 100 minutes or whatever. But I do think, like you said, Robbie, in our Loki recap in the finale, it wasn't even like hate. It was more like meh was kind of the vibes we were getting from all of it. And I think that's kind of where we were. We might have been a little too strong with our, this is going to suck. I do think it was disappointing. I would have rather spent another, way to spend 2 hours. But you know what? We got popcorn. How was everyone's popcorn? That's what I wanted to know. How was everybody's popcorn?
Very good.
Thumbs up.
It hit the spot.
Yeah. 6 thumbs up.
So it did, like you said, like it didn't suck. If we expected it to suck, it definitely didn't. At best, it was like a pretty decent superhero fun movie. At worst, it was a forgettable lower tier MCU movie. I don't even know if I would say I saw people saying worst MCU movie ever. I don't think I would say that either. There was nothing about it that was like offensively bad to me. There was, like Gia pointed out, there was like 2 sequences where I was like, am I on acid right now? What the fuck is happening in this movie? But at the end of the day, we got a good post-credit scene. We moved along the universe a little more than I expected them to be honest. We didn't fucking reference Secret Invasion for 1 second, so we all wasted our time with that. They acted like it didn't exist. Like we don't have this super soldier with every power ever that Samuel L. Jackson just gave her the syringe for. So that, there was things about it that I didn't love. I wasn't over the moon about it, but it certainly didn't suck. I think it's if you like the MCU, I can't imagine you would hate this movie.
I think we have our hashtag, Robbie. Hashtag it didn't suck. That's what Marvel should put on the posters. It didn't suck. Robbie Fox, Barstool Sports. I think that's a fair, like that would get me if I was on like the fence of taking like my daughter to see it. That would, but you know what? I asked her if she wanted. She's like, I'm good. So if you're not even getting like the 9-year-old girl that loves superheroes and like geeked the fuck out when in Endgame when all the girls got together, that means you kind of have to go back to the drawing board, Feige and company, because you got to get that crew. If you're not gonna, you're gonna have different people across the board. You got to get the 9-year-old girls that are just dying to see people that look like them in a superhero movie. So I will say that we're super. Now, this is? I'm trying to figure out the bar here, Robbie. Worst MCU movie ever. What do you think we have to clear? Because I don't think it is either. Because I didn't like hate my time there, which is saying something, right?
Yeah.
Like
worst MCU movie. People like to say Thor 2. I say like Thor 1, Iron Man 3. And I know like these movies are probably better than the Marvels, which is working against the point I just made. But you give me Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man 3, I'd probably prefer that to the Marvels. But The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton, it's not great.
Yep. I think those are all fair. Gia, do you have anything that you kind of like that is absolute basura?
Yeah, Robbie took it. Yeah, Thor: Dark Worlds for me is one of the worst ones ever. Honestly, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I think was worse. Than this one. Yeah, is that a hot take?
Really? I think it is.
I don't know.
But you know what? Really that one was more like polarizing, I think, than this. Everyone kind of is on the same like 6 out of 10 or whatever with this, 5 out of 10 if you want to call it that. With Multiverse of Madness, there was like people that loved it and people that hated it.
Yeah, it never did it for me. I don't know if it was like the Sam Raimi like dark vibe of it or whatever the director's name is, but I just thought it was silly and kind of stupid. And I think the Marvels had a bit more of like, I don't even know.
The Marvels felt more just like fastball from Marvel. It felt more like into the universe. Sam Raimi, like you said, his style will give you like a horror movie vibe sometimes.
Yeah.
So they definitely. I will say with this though, they did for most of the movie play it safe in terms of like it kind of like hits the bullet points every Marvel movie does. Those weird sequences that will just put it out on Front Street, the singing sequence and the fucking cat sequence at the end. I appreciate that they were at least like, let's take a shot and see if this works. Did it work? I don't think so, but they took a shot. They tried.
No, the singing did not work. And I love musicals. I love singing. I did not like the singing part at all. I thought it was so silly. And then all of a sudden, Captain Marvel is like a princess. Oh, she's like, oh, by the way, I got married. Like, what? You're just like, you're just going to throw that out there?
In the theater, we just shook our head like, I can't believe we're doing this right now. She puts on the dress. She looks like a Disney. It turned into a Disney movie, like a straight up live action Disney musical for way too long. I thought that would be like a quick, like 2-minute bit. And all right, let's get this over with. We got the universe at stake. But no, they sang their asses off. And Brie Larson, she's got a great voice. But I don't want to hear it in this. I want to hear it in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World or something.
My wife, I think I've told you this in the past, right? My wife is obsessed to this day still with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's her favorite show of all time. She just rewatches it. Any given night, you're going to see her watching a couple episodes. And there's an episode where it's just an entire episode. They become a musical. I think someone casts a spell on them. And I actually like tip my cap because there are some parts of Buffy that are very cool. Like I think that is a cool thing where you just have an entire episode that's just a musical. I think if they had done this right, it could have been a fucking home run. There was like 99% chance it was going to flop, and I think it did flop. But I thought I give them credit for doing. If Taika Waititi does this, people are jerking off. Like it's fucking genius, right? I do.
I don't know after the last one he did though.
Yeah, that's true. That's I think one of the ones that this one had to clear. I think Thor 2. Thor 3 or Thor 4, excuse me. I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes here. Lowest Rotten Tomatoes, this is critics, is Quantumania, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Followed by Eternals, which again, me and Robbie liked, I think, more than most because Jose gave us the entire background of the Eternals, so we weren't confused or like we kind of knew what we were getting into going in. And then Marvel's is 3 in terms of from the bottom.
Wow,
Marvel's felt more like a Marvel movie than the Eternals to me, and Eternals isn't bad by any means. Like it's a well-made movie, but it didn't feel like a Marvel movie.
Marvel's is like it's when your favorite restaurant, like I don't want to say, I always call it Rouse. I think it's called Rayo's. This is like the canned sauce. You can like Marvel's is the canned sauce, but everyone goes, you can get the good shit, and that's Iron Man 1, that's Cap 1, that's the Avengers movies. That's if you're actually going to the restaurant. This, they hit all the different like checkpoints of a typical Marvel movie, and it was like, okay, I like this. I'm a Marvel fan, but I don't really like it, right? I think there are two differences.
Yeah. Forgettable is the number one word that keeps coming to mind for me. I'm just like, I think it's forgettable. I genuinely don't remember what the villain's name is. I didn't look it up before we did this.
God, what is the villain's name?
Da Bomb?
Ben Hare?
Like
the Bomb? The hot sauce from Hot Ones?
Isn't it like Darben? Darboon?
Something like that. Darben sounded right when you said that.
Yeah.
Is it Darben? Bendar?
The only thing I knew about the villain is that we learned that she's engaged to boy Hiddleston, who she's basically the stepping stone back to Taylor Swift.
Darben.
Yeah.
All right. So Darben, like, and I don't even think it was like necessarily a bad performance. I don't think there was anything for her to do, really. She has like 3 or 4 scenes in the whole movie, it felt like.
And it also felt like she wasn't even really, one, that bad, or 2, that powerful. Because she got all of her powers from the wrist thing and the hammer. So if she didn't have either of those, like, she's kind of screwed. So
and
she
her
just didn't
motivation
really,
was just like, my people are starving. They can't breathe.
Yeah,
they need water.
I know.
And
just kind of like, you're like, damn, I feel bad for you.
The way they wrap that up, spoilers for the Marvel. Spoilers. At the end, someone fucking turns to Brie Larson and they're like, you could have just fixed that in the first place, right? And she's like, oh, really? And then she goes and fixes it, and that's it. What the fuck? I couldn't believe that. Like, oh, she could have just like turned the sun back on. She didn't even turn it off and on again. She just left them and was like, I guess they'll deal with that. That was bananas.
We live in this internet world now. Unplug her from the wall for 10 minutes and plug it back in, and it's going to work. That's basically how technology works now. Day one shit, Captain Marvel. Are you still in the fucking 90s right now? What's going on? Yeah, that was bananas. That was wild.
That was one of those things they might have changed in the edit. Like you implied, maybe they changed things in the edit. That was one of those like, oh, we got to wrap this up. Like, let's get a move on this. Captain Marvel, she could do it, right? Yeah, she could turn it back on. One thing that I said to you, I swear must have changed in the edit. I think in the original test screenings, what tested the best was Iman Vellani, Miss Marvel, and her family in Jersey City, that whole fight sequence in their house in the beginning. I think people probably thought that was really funny and charming, and they liked that. So they wrote to Marvel, or the testers said, that's what tested the best. And then they said, all right, I guess we need him in the third act too. And they sent him to space for no reason. Like, they were funny, and there was a couple lines that they had in space when the brother's praying, and Samuel L. Jackson's like, keep praying, and he stops. He's like, don't stop. Amen. Like, keep going. That was really funny. There was no reason for them to be on that spaceship in space in danger. Like, Samuel L. Jackson would never put them in that spot. I don't think Nick Fury would, and he wouldn't be cracking jokes with them in that spot. So there are things like that where I'm like, that must have changed in the edit, because it just doesn't make any logical sense. They just did it for the sake of comedy, which sometimes is going to hurt the story a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a very unique situation because they're playing the parents that are kind of shooting down their daughter's dreams because they're worried about her, which is completely understandable. But it's like, then they're also the comedic relief, and it's very hard to pull off both. And that was kind of a thing, I think, when we watched Miss Marvel, we're like, I don't know if I like the mom or hate the mom. Like, I kind of understand where she's coming from as a parent, but I also am like just sick of her bullshit. And the dad, I think, is funny, and the brother is an interesting character as well, who can definitely be funny. But yeah, it's like, I didn't need them up in space. I think there was enough shit going on. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. We're all waiting for the villain to do some cool shit, and it's like, oh, now these people are back in our face. So yeah, I'm with you, Bob. That does feel like a post-edit thing.
So let's get into the movie a little bit. I don't have the normal bullet points that I have for like our TV shows when we go scene by scene and real in depth. I'll be honest, I thought of a reason why I don't have that, but there's no reason. I just didn't want to. It's one of those movies where, and also it's forgettable. Like I saw this movie on Friday night. I don't remember a decent point, and that's not the 3G. That's just the movie.
Wait, so is our hashtag it's forgettable or it's not terrible? I forgot which one's our hashtag.
Our hashtag was it didn't suck.
It didn't suck. Okay, it didn't
Yeah.
suck. All right, I'm keeping that. It's forgettable.
So we'll keep that.
Didn't suck. There's a lot of different taglines that Marvel should and shouldn't use for their poster here.
Hey, how about before we get into the movie real in depth like that? I said last week, let's all come back with one thing we can compliment about this movie. So I did write down, for me, I really liked the way that they shot the power swapping action scenes where they actually like would change places. I thought they had some really creative action scenes. And then my other one was there was a couple Samuel L. Jackson one-liners I loved when he says, "First rule, stop touching shit." That was like that's a fed up dad right there. So I really appreciated Samuel L. Jackson in this movie. That's what I liked about it. What about you, Gia?
I was going to say the comedy aspect. It was actually surprisingly very funny. I thought that Kamala had like really good lines. She's like kind of annoying a little bit because she's young and she's like following them around. But I wish I could remember like a one-liner, but it's like it sucks because this movie, like it just literally went in one ear, not the other. But there were some moments where I was like laughing at her jokes. I thought she was very funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So my homework, Robbie, was that like I think they did a good job with that action sequence thing. And I also think it's cheating to say the post credits, which is what everyone probably
the post credits was
talking
great.
about.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to cheat. So I'm going to go with my third option on the list. And this is going to sound like it's like kind of an insult. It almost sounds like something you'd hear on like America's Got Talent show or something to someone who does not have talent. But I swear, I appreciate that they took chances. That singing thing was a chance, and it would have been very easy to not do it. And that the director probably would have been kicking themselves saying, I should have done it. I should have just let it fly. I appreciate them taking chances. They fell on their face, but hey, like you got a fucking Marvel movie. You can't be that bad. So I will say they took chances.
They took some chances, and you begin the movie with the villain, Ben-Hur, or whatever her name is. She discovers the bangle in the moon.
Ben-Hur. Just call her Ben-Hur for now on.
Ben-Hur, yeah. They discover the bangle, which is connected to Miss Marvel's bangle. And speaking of taking chances, I loved the introduction of Miss Marvel when they kind of link the bangles and then they do the same thing they did in the first episode of her show, where she's like drawing a little scene with Miss Marvel and it goes into a cartoon and she's just imagining them being friends, them doing the twinsies thing, like finger guns at each other. That got some legit laughs out of my theater, which was like, it was dead when I went in there. We were like the only people in there. But then by the time the movie started, I would say it was 25% full. And the theater was laughing at all the comedy. They went crazy for the post-credit scene. So it wasn't the same vibe a normal Marvel opening weekend gives you, but it was similar. Gia, you went Sunday, you went yesterday, right? Was the theater empty? Was it full? How was it?
It was dead.
Damn.
I went at like I think I went at like 3 or 4 o'clock. And yeah, it was dead there. I got there late because I was like really hungover and I'm just going to go straight for the movie. And by the time I was there, I want to say there was max 5 other people in the theater with me.
That's tough. That's tough for the Marvels.
Yeah. But people were laughing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I'm saying I probably had about 20% capacity in terms of our audience here. So I'd say it lines up with the numbers they're drawing in right now. I will say I got something else nice to say at the movie. Short. The very I don't know, like I appreciate
I think is a fault. Like I appreciated that it was short because I didn't have to be in the theater for a long time, but it definitely could have used another 20 minutes of explaining the whole plot.
Yes. I don't know. Like I think we reached a point where it's like I feel like Ant-Man was long, and we're like that didn't need to be that long. They could have made it a lot better if they had tightened it up. This one probably could have went a little longer, but I think the amount of people we saw at the movie theater would have been even less if it was 2.5 hours. I think a lot of people would be like, nah, we're good. We're not going to, spend that much of our time. I do appreciate that it was a little shorter. Also, Dar-Ben, I was getting big. I know it's like Kree stuff. And I think she kind of said like my predecessor or something. Is she like supposed to be like Friends or the new version of Ronin? Because that was with the hammer, I was getting a lot of Ronin vibes. And listen,
huge Ronin vibes.
Yes, big Guardians fan. Guardians 2 is my favorite by far, but I also love Guardians 1. Guardians 1's biggest flaw is that the villain sucks, and I think she is just the evolutionary Ronin. Like what is the coolest thing about Ronin, Bob? Do you remember what I said the coolest thing about Ronin?
When he kills the guy with the hammer and then the blood goes and trickles in the beginning.
That's
cool.
Pretty cool. It's his nickname, the Accuser. And like, if you're
The
going just based
Accuser,
off
yeah.
the Accuser as your nickname, which let's be honest, you're basically the Snitch. It's kind of a shitty nickname,
Yeah.
but it's cooler than basically anything else you do. That's how you know it's kind of tough. So again, I'm blaming like the Marvels could just be like, hey, we had a shitty villain. We got dealt fucking Dar-Ben. No one even remembers her goddamn name. I do think there is a case to be made that they were kind of fucked off Jump Street here.
Yeah. Tell you how you could not get fucked off Jump Street is you go over to Game Time and you get some tickets for concerts, sports, shows, and more. Tell you what, I'm using Game Time this week to go see one of Taylor Swift's exes. Sorry, Gia. I'm going to see the 1975 this week, Maddie Healy. Yeah, they're at the Garden. It's my girlfriend's favorite band. So we're going thanks to Game Time. And you don't even have to worry about buying your tickets to this event because you know they're going to hook it up. It's easy. Last minute, you're going to get the best deal around. They have the flash deals. So in the moments where it's getting real close, you can actually see huge price drops and whatnot. And no printer necessary with Game Time. Get all your tickets delivered right to your phone. They guarantee you the lowest price. If you can find tickets in the same section and row for less anywhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So they'll actually pay you to go to the event. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and then use the code MMB for My Mom's Basement, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and then redeem the code MMB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Their website, by the way, is gametime.co. Don't type in .com, gametime.co. Again, the promo code is MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Great stuff. I'm sure there's tickets for the Marvels still available. Well, you can't get them through there, but you know what I'm talking about. We get that huge fight sequence in the beginning of the movie that kind of introduces us to the power swapping angle where you get two bad guys in Kamala's house in Jersey City, just making their living room more and more of a train wreck with every punch and kick thrown. I did laugh at that. Like, the look on the parents' faces as the fight progressed of just like, oh my God, everything's broken. Absolutely everything's broken. The TV's gone. Now the table's gone. Now the chairs are gone. I thought that was good and a good way of kind of like playing into the Miss Marvel family aspect that we saw in her show. And like you said, the parents, you go back and forth over, are they disapproving? Are they funny? But for the most part, they're funny. And I felt like they worked together well in this.
As all the shit's breaking, it was definitely funny. And I think three of us Northeastern kids, right? Like I've been to that person's house a million times. Like that was pure. Like that's exactly how a Northeastern house is laid out in the burbs in some places in the city.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I really liked. I liked her parents. I think that they're funny. I think the brother, he said something really. Oh, when the mom like tries to break the vase like over the guy's head, which I thought was really funny, and they were like trying to fight, which is like totally something that like my parents would do. I understand why they have to bring in the I think that the parents add a little bit something to like Kamala's life, like it like humbles her a little bit, or like keeps her grounded, keeps like her storyline, like she's just a girl from Jersey City, and I feel like they mentioned that a lot throughout the movie. They kept saying, like, she's from Jersey City. Oh, I'm just from Jersey City. And what do you want from me? I'm from Jersey City. It's like, okay, we get it.
I was always like, hey.
yeah,
I'm from there.
yeah.
Even they did they have that scene where Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel goes and flies up and then they swap and they're like, oh, fuck, she's falling. Like, you got to go get her. You got to whatever. In that shot, I was looking for like, where's my apartment in Jersey City? They're definitely using the satellite footage for that. But yeah, they do love to play, and she's like the local superhero, and she gets in trouble for all that. They go off. They have that sequence where they got to save a bunch of scrolls because the water's coming down. That was cool. It was a cool planet, cool, like different way everything was shot. And I like the dynamic of Captain Marvel being like, save who we can, like, chill out with all the rest. You know, Miss Marvel's trying to save everyone, and she realizes her hero isn't all she's cracked up to be in that moment. And they kind of, it's like the strife moment where she doesn't know how to react. But then as soon as they get back on the ship, Captain Marvel's like, I'm sorry I talked to you that way. It was kind of a nice, like, they get their twinsies moment and stuff. Everything up to that moment where they're all on the ship was moving pretty quick and was pretty good. I felt like the movie started stronger than it ended. Like, I was really into the beginning, and I was like, this is kind of fucking great. And then when they hit the ship and they start talking to each other, I like that they learned how to use the powers together and stuff. The juggling scene in that montage was great, but it did feel like a little stall for the movie. Did you guys feel that way?
I kind of liked it just because I feel like it gave Captain Marvel more of like a arc, like a character arc in a way, because I think it humanized her a little bit more. I feel like she always was so like stoic and like
Yes.
unapproachable.
In the first movie,
just,
she
like,
really was.
Yeah. And I feel like as her character has progressed, she's definitely gotten more like showing her emotions and sensitive. So I kind of enjoyed those scenes, and I was interested because I kind of forgot what happened with her and Monica. So I was like, I don't really remember why they hate each other or why they weren't talking.
They did a good job of doing a recap of the first movie. It was like a last week on Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
The beginning of the movie and basically up to the part you described, I was the very early stages of the Vince McMahon meme where he's like, okay, with Stacy Keibler like that. I was very, and listen, I'm not, about to fall off a chair or anything, but it was like, okay, this might be something here. So I was definitely excited. That being said, this is actually a huge strike against the Marvels, and it's not even their fault. But you throw the Skrulls in there, anyone that watched Secret Invasion is going to go back to Secret Invasion. And then that taste is going to be in our mouth. I mean, the first couple episodes were fucking sweet. They were good. That actor, I'm never going to remember his name, but I'm telling you, he's going to win an Oscar. That was my fucking claim, right, Bob? That was my hot take. And he looked good in the Bob Marley movie. I saw the preview for it. I'm definitely excited for it. And then they just completely fucked that up. And then, like you said, I see the Skrulls, and I'm like, oh yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. He just lost two of the closest people of his life, and he's fucking cracking one-liners here. So, like, I'd laugh at the one-liners and then be like, this man should be devastated and, like, not leaving bed and just eating ice cream in bed. And he's fucking out here having fun. So that kind of, like, needled me a little bit. So that's kind of where I was like, all right, there's definitely a flaw in the MCU there. So I was definitely a little upset. But again, I think you guys are right. I think it's like there was definitely some momentum building, but every time I saw a Skrull, I'm just like, oh goddamn. Which actually, Bob, it's a good point to make. I'm like, imagine like Captain Marvel's there, and then she's just like racist, and Kamal's like, who the fuck is this chick? She's like, kill them all. Who gives a fuck? They're Skrulls. Like that would have been a nice little twist that no one could have seen. I'm like, never meet your heroes, kids.
Yeah. We also lost the best Skrull, like our favorite Skrull, Talos, however you say it, Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
He was amazing in that role. He was so good in the first one when he flips and realizes like, you were supposed to be my science guy. And he's yelling at his other Skrull and they're sipping on Slurpees. Like he was such a good comedic relief. We're talking about like humanizing a crazy alien with a bunch of prosthetics. Like he made me feel for those aliens, and they killed him in Secret Invasion for no reason. No, they should pretend like that show never happened and just bring him back and act like he never died.
I couldn't agree more. And while we're bringing Shabatsky back too, bring Maria Hill back as well. Like I fucking love her as well.
Yeah. Why did she die? Maria Hill's dead for no reason.
For no reason. That's like finding out someone lost the WWF title at a house show. And like it wasn't even on TV. Like, what did we even do here?
They didn't have cameras there for it. Yeah. Oh.
I feel like the Skrulls and the Kree are kind of just like they've had their time. I feel like I'm just kind of tired of them in general. Just we've seen them since the first Guardians, or maybe even earlier than that. I don't know, and I'm over it. We need more. We need something new. I think
they definitely.
We got enough of them in the first Captain Marvel too.
Yeah. They had their chance to like make it work. It didn't work. They've made other space like things work in the MCU, right? Now the question is, when our beloved Harry Styles comes back into our life, right? I feel like they're going to have to, like, I feel like the Kree and the Skrull are so important. They're like, listen, you guys are just going to have to, like, they're vegetables. You guys are going to have to eat these and just grin and bear it. But I feel like they have just completely bungled it. Like, has there been any part of this Kree and Skrull, like, drama that's been well done? Like, again, I didn't even really enjoy them in Guardians all that much.
It just makes no sense to me because it's like, how is one of their populations not wiped out already? It feels like every single time we're meeting the Skrulls or the Kree, their population is getting wiped out. They're on some planet. They need saving. The planet's blowing up, and then they move on. They get refuge somewhere new. Like, and what's her face from Asgard?
Oh, this time it's a new Asgard. Yeah. Tessa Thompson is Valkyrie.
Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie. Yeah, she comes, saves them. It's like, okay, but there's like only like 15 of them now. So it's like, how much can they expand population wise in the next 5 years at MCU?
Also, question about that Valkyrie scene. I feel like that guy from SportsCenter when he's like, was something going on with Tessa Thompson and Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel? Were they a thing?
I don't know. I was confused. I was like, when were they even friends, or when did they even meet?
There was a long kiss on the cheek there, and I was like, what was that?
So I saw a little bit of a what's it called? It was like a clickbaity tweet. And they were like, you're not going to, but like, who's Captain Marvel's like new side piece or whatever? And they said like, they're basically dating. Like, I don't know if they were like, is that where Captain Marvel was during the fucking beginning of Endgame? Is her and Valkyrie were fucking, nothing.
She was in bed.
Smooching the whole time. Yeah, exactly. They're like, all right, I guess we got to go save the world. Like Thanos is back. So I'm right there with you. I am like the guy who can't take the clue. It's like, oh, she was making the hint towards me. Like she was doing the thing. Yeah. I'm happy neither of you guys picked up on it because I felt like it was way over.
I think there was a thing.
I didn't pick up on that at all, honestly. And I usually like, even when someone like looks at each other in a movie, I'm like, oh, they like each other. I couldn't get that vibe from them though. I feel like I would maybe need to rewatch the scene.
Because I feel like they've also been pushing for their characters to be like bi or LGBTQ plus, and I think specifically that. So I was like, maybe something's going on.
Well, I think Valkyrie mentioned something about how she would sleep with men and women. I feel like I remember her saying something about that
in Love and Thunder, right?
Yeah.
I think you're right about that.
I have to ask this too. Was Captain Marvel dating Monica's mom, or did they have a thing? Was it
no, like, I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
Because I thought there was something there, and then I'm like, wait a minute, has this been going on for a while? Okay, so that was not happening, but because then that's like the auntie thing becomes even more personal. It's like kind of like your second mom, but I didn't know what the fuck was going on, so I don't. Again.
Yeah, no.
Then we get to the singing planet, which we kind of already discussed. How much more there is to add there. I mean, they took a chance, they took a shot. She married the prince for diplomatic purposes, so they're not really, a thing. It doesn't seem like there's feelings there. Prince seemed like an all right dude. He got them new costumes, and I'll say this: Monica Rambeau or Maria Rambeau, which one's the daughter? Monica?
Yeah, Maria.
Maria.
Oh wait, no.
Phasma. Just call her Phasma, Bob. Just call her Phasma.
Awesome new suit for her and Miss Marvel. The Captain Marvel suit. What a downgrade. That was horrible. One of the worst suits in MCU history, I think. No color in it. It looks like a Zack Snyder suit. Horrendous.
Wait, which one? Captain Marvel's? I thought it was like red and blue and yellow.
In the beginning of the movie, it's like the vibrant red and blue. And then she gets the new one, and her logo is like huge on the chest. And then it's like the red is almost like a brownish red, and the blue is almost like a grayish blue. Yeah. I hated it. I was like, oh my God, these two have some of the coolest costumes I've ever seen. Hers, I would have sent it right back with that prince. I would have been like, you fucking bring out something else. Absolutely not.
Her dress was
very
cool,
dull.
The dress was cool. The dress was sweet.
Yeah.
That looked like if you were to turn her into a Disney princess, that's what it would look like, the outfit for sure.
Yeah.
So that happens, and they get the brains hatching on the ship. They looks like brains, but they're eggs. I thought that was going to be like a Krang thing, like some kind of
Ninja Turtles
brain, and I don't know, man.
I would have liked that. That would have been better. That would have. I also will say I enjoyed the Marvels bit that they had running the whole time. Recall us the Marvels, and then they said the Marvels, and like, oh, it's catching on. Yeah, Professor Marvel. That entire thing, like that was fun funny. MCU humor that I appreciated along the way, right? So that was very good.
That was good.
The brains thing, I was getting too excited for that. That's when I forgot about the expectations. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's going to be our big reveal of Fantastic Four.
X-Men, like Harry Styles is hatching right now.
Yeah, exactly. Which I am not going to be able to sleep.
wish.
I'm not going to be able to sleep about two things we didn't say in the Loki recap. One was that how the fuck did they not mention, again, when we were talking Harry Styles, the goddamn giant Eternal that's just been out of the ground for God knows how long. And I know some of the movies take place before the Eternals movie, but a lot of them have taken place after the Eternals movie. So that's just like mind-boggling shit. And there was something else in the Loki in Loki that happened.
Oh,
That just is
no post credits, right? We didn't talk
yeah.
about
The
that.
no yes, the no post credits. That was offensive. Is they cannot. There has to be a fucking like agreement with the audience. We will either give you a post credit scene every single time, or we will tell you in the beginning of the movie there is no post credits. It's going to seem awkward, but like you have to do that. You're Marvel. It's your thing. I also thought it was weird when Star Wars started doing them. Like you can't have other people copying you and then you just stop doing them, especially when we're that invested. Which again started in Secret Invasion. Fuck Secret Invasion.
I can't believe that Kevin Feige said that we will see if Harry Styles is going to be in. It's like, you can't have Harry fucking Styles, someone that is a huge name to introduce into the MCU, and then just say, oh, we'll see. What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by that? It's crazy to me. I think that's the biggest sign of how much they've lost, like, their direction or timeline or whatever they're trying to do, because you can't introduce a major character like that, someone who's said to be Thanos' brother, and you're having him played by a huge pop star, like one of the most famous people on earth, and then say, oh, we'll see. We'll see when. No, I need to know when.
That and the other post-credit scene for that movie was the Jon Snow one. Is that ever going to pay off either?
Yeah, it's so dumb. And Roy Kent from Hercules,
Roy
right?
Kent, Charlize Theron, all of these post-credit scenes for this phase. Are any of them going to pay off? Any of them?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Any Harry Styles fan would know too. There's like the MCU used to do it right. They used to do it in One Direction. I had to look it up to see if he was in One Direction before I said that, because I was like, I don't know if he was in that one.
He was, yeah. You got to walk a fine line with stuff like that.
It's
an album title, yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know that. Watermelon Sugar, is that him too? Yes. Oh,
yeah.
Man. I have a daughter, a 9-year-old daughter. I'm learning my Harry Styles right now.
Yeah.
Then you get all of the hatching of the brains, and they're cats, just like a goose is. So they're cats, but they're alien cats. Then you get the next acid trip sequence where they decide we don't have as many evacuation pods as we need. So the way we're going to get all these humans in the evacuation pods is we're going to let the cats, the Flurkin, is that what they call? I think Flurkin. We're going to let them swallow the humans. So that just like every cat swallows 5 or 6 humans with their tentacles. The humans were terrified, running away from these cats like it was a horror movie, while Midnight from Cats plays. Disturbing. I didn't know if I was in on it. I didn't know if I was out on it. I'll tell you what, it had the theater cracking up. Like my theater was really laughing for it. So I was like, I guess it's working. Like, who am I to say it's not working if the whole theater's laughing? But I was certainly like, all right, now we're off the reservation and goofiness. Like, how are they breathing in there? I'm supposed to believe these 5 guys can breathe inside the belly of a cat. So goofy, but not as bad as the Singing Planet in terms of swings.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny. I also was like a little nauseous. Like, I don't like when the tentacles come out of his mouth. It's so gross. I will say Goose is one of the saving like parts of the Marvels for me. I love Goose. I love a great animal sidekick. So especially a cute animal sidekick, like in Shang-Chi. I love that little fluffy guy that was
the little pillow.
He was so cute. I forget his name. Maurice, I think was his name.
Maurice, I think that was it. Yeah, that sounds right.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but he was so cute. So I love Goose. I just hate when the tentacles come out because it actually makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
So again, I was in the back of the theater and I think I was texting you guys like, yeah, like it's been pretty good. The only thing is there's one trippy part. And then I looked up from my phone and I just saw that all the cats eating everyone. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on right now. And I didn't realize that they were telling them, like, get eaten by the cats. We're going to get you in the escape pod. So I was like, oh boy, I'm kind of lost. And I will say, I thought the goose having like being this like crazy creature with tentacles was a good twist when we found out about it. And we found out he's the one who like got Fury's eye. I felt like I was like, all right, it's a little too much to just do an entire thing about it, but whatever, it's done. They did it, and it was like it was a decent gag. But yeah, like I was like, well, this isn't the craziest shit I saw in this movie, but that's only because there was a fucking Singing Planet that wasn't even good. So it was a very weird thing. But in the end, it's like whatever, it's different, it's fun. They took a chance again. They took a chance, right?
not horrible. It's just weird, I guess, is the biggest thing I can have for it. It's just a weird scene. I liked when Goose was riding on Brie Larson's shoulder for some of it. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. They're gonna make a Funko Pop of that immediately, where you get like Goose on the shoulder and everything. And then you get the final fight scene with the villain, Ben Hare. It is what it is. It's fine. It's more of that power swapping thing. Miss Marvel does a lot of the like jumping on shit. It's fine.
We might need to make the new hashtag Ben Hare. Ben Hare might have to be the hashtag because I just love that we can just
Denbar. What is it? Roseanne Barr?
Barden?
Barden. James Barden?
Darben.
Yeah. The final fight sequence, I don't have a lot to add. Although I will say this, I mentioned on one of our Loki recaps that they spoiled the ending of the movie with one of the few images they put out. They fucking did. One of the few images they put out was the 3 Marvels standing there holding the bangle that they were trying to get from the villain the whole time. And I saw that and I was like, I'm pretty sure that bangle is the one they're trying to get from the bad guy. That was for sure from the end of the movie. I don't know why they put that image out, but they did. They got the bangle and they, figure out Miss Marvel could just save everything. So she saves everything.
It's so stupid. That ending, it's just like, we did all of that for nothing. Like I feel like it kind of has something similar to No Way Home, when like that whole thing could have just been prevented if Peter Parker just like used his brain a little bit and like didn't like make Doctor Strange change time so he could go to college. And it's
like are our favorite superheroes just dumb? Do we gotta accept that they're dumb
exactly.
people?
Like, we're going through that whole fucking thing just for them to be like, oh yeah, by the way, Captain Marvel, like, you could have just like flew through the sun and fixed everything. It just makes it so anticlimactic.
Yeah. And like the way the villain died too, where she goes out and uses the bangles and blows up, it was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I will say this thing about the villain. I'm still not sure. This is Darb. I'm going to say Darben. Or no, Bob, what were you saying? I like that one. Ben Hare. I like the kind of like I like that she called her. What was the name she was calling Captain Marvel? Like the
Annihilator. She was like the Annihilator.
Yeah, I like being able to see like another like group's perspective on someone that we consider a hero, and they're like, no, you're the villain in our world. I actually appreciated that, and I did like some of the flashback shit, and I think more flashback stuff would have probably been better, and maybe like care about the Kree more and everything, but they just didn't do that for whatever reason. So I will say, like, when she's blowing up the fucking computer, she thinks it's good, they think it's bad, and everything falls apart. So I will say the flashback shit was kind of cool. Another good thing about the Marvels, it didn't suck. Hashtag it didn't suck.
And then you get kind of like the epilogue of the movie where you see Brie Larson's character is going to look over the Rambeau house just until Maria gets back, because Maria had to go close that warp hole in space and she gets caught on the other end. So immediately you're like, ooh, which universe is she going to wind up in? They kind of tease it. They make you wait till the post credits, but she's like, I'm going to take care of this. And they're loading stuff into the new house and whatnot. And then we see a little tease for the Young Avengers, which was a very welcome, surprising tease where we see Kate Bishop. We see Pizza Dog from Hawkeye. I was like, oh shit, that's a fucking Pizza Dog from Hawkeye. She comes in, throws it a slice. And then we get kind of a beat for beat first ever post-credit scene. The one from Iron Man, you're a part of a bigger universe, you just don't know it yet, where Kamala is playing the role of Nick Fury, talking to Haley Steinfeld, setting up the Young Avengers. I did not expect to get that in this movie. Another one where I really appreciated it. Like Valkyrie and Kate Bishop, 2 cameos I never would have expected in a billion years, but it worked well. And it was kind of that girl power thing, showing it, but not saying it, not like shoving it in your face. Just it exists and they're going to team up now.
Yeah, I love Kate Bishop. I think Kate Bishop is one of my more favorite characters from these recent stuff, her and Yelena. So I hope that her and Yelena like somehow come back together. So I love Haley Steinfeld. I think she's awesome and she's actually a really great actress. So I was excited because I kind of forgot about I forgot about her a little bit because she hasn't really been in anything new. So, and he said, I love when she's like, and I heard like Ant-Man has a daughter too. Like, I think that's cute. So it'll be fun to have like a new group. I just don't know if it'll ever be as strong as the original squad.
And they better do it quick because these young Avengers are all like 25. So are they going to be young? If they do this in 5 years, they're all going to be 30?
We're gonna have a Stranger Things issue going on here where they're gonna be just as old as the old Avengers were when they did the first Avengers, right? Like I can definitely see that. I almost appreciated how she was like kind of stumbling on her words and couldn't get the delivery like Nick Fury would. And it's kind of like, well, that's kind of what the MC is now. It had kind of a plan, and now it's just kind of this younger version of itself, and it doesn't really make sense. But like that was our lesser of the two credits scenes, and I was like, that worked. That was good. And I have my expectations like for this movie are severely tempered for any kind of Young Avengers. I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to like any of the, like not even just the Avengers, but any of the top tier Marvel stuff. I will say Kamala's family, they moved to New Orleans, right? Did they just move there because their house was destroyed? Which is a wild move. Like Bob, imagine you just moving to New Orleans because like your apartment flooded.
No.
Like, that would have been
move in with Mincy. Yeah.
I would have said if we just got a sup fellas as a post credits, that would have made my fucking year. It would have been very
welcoming him into the neighborhood.
Percent of the people wouldn't have understood what was going on. But yeah.
Oh, that would have been good. Before we get into the big post-credit scene, I want to tell everyone about C4, one of our favorite sponsors, the Ultimate Energy Cans, WWE style. Unleash your inner WWE superstar. WWE and C4 Ultimate Energy have teamed up to provide ultimate undisputed energy, packing a powerful punch of 300 milligrams of caffeine and delicious WWE-inspired flavors like Ruthless Raspberry and Berry Power Bomb. C4 Ultimate Energy is the preferred choice of supercharged energy for WWE superstars like Seth Freakin' Rollins. And with 0 sugar and 300 milligrams of caffeine that'll leave you feeling larger than life, it's time to step into the ring. With C4 Ultimate Energy in WWE, grab the new C4 Ultimate Energy WWE flavors today at GNC, online, or find them near you at findc4.com. I love this stuff. We just discovered a little stash of it in the office, if we're being honest. And I'm trying to keep it on the DL because people are drinking them quick. They are delicious. The Berry Power Bomb and the Ruthless Raspberry. I love them both. I love C4. Thank you for sponsoring the show. And also the pre-workout. Go get your pre-workout at GNC. Now,
flex for the people, Bob. Flex for the people on YouTube right now. Show that pre-workout. There it is. There it is.
Show both the guns, you know. Now the big post-credit scene. Mid-credit scene, I should say. The post-credits, meow. Not worth staying for. That was, I couldn't believe I stayed for the post credits. I wound up being a fucking meow. The mid credits scene. Woo, this was awesome. This was good. This was really good. This made me feel good about the future of the MCU. This made me feel good about the connectivity because it feels like it's going right into Deadpool 3. We see Maria wake up in this hospital bed, but it kind of looks like not your average hospital, not just a normal hospital on Earth, at least. And then she wakes up and next to her is her mom, but like young, like same age as her, maybe. And she's like, Mom, like, what the fuck is going on? Her mom doesn't know what's going on. They're both confused. And then the door opens. In walks Kelsey Grammer's Beast from the X-Men. This was a fantastic casting at the time. And he didn't really get a good chance to play that character. He played him for, I think, one movie. I think he was just in X3, The Last Stand, which a lot of people say is the weakest of the trilogy. It probably is. So the fact that he was able to come back, he went on Lights, Camera, Barstool a couple of years ago and like was basically begging to come back in this role. So awesome. He mentions Xavier. He drops like, Charles has been asking about you. We were all like, oh my God, he said Charles. He said the name of Professor X, just losing it. And now we have a Rambeau stuck with her mom in a different dimension, which I think is the Fox 20th century, with like the X-Men universe. I would imagine they'll pick that right up in Deadpool 3. This was the post-credit scene I needed to leave the theater with a really good taste in my mouth. So like this, the Young Avengers stuff, it got us looking up who are they going to put on the Young Avengers team and stuff. Like everything about the way this movie ended was like, all right, they kind of put it on a T for the next movie.
Bob, I thought you were going to say this is what I needed to leave the theater with a boner. I thought that's where you were going with it because I might have been doing that. You know,
I mean, you were right, but I wasn't going to say it.
You're not wrong. You take it with an erection. That's where I was standing too, because you know the X-Men. This was like the MCU has been in different states of like a tire fire for the last year, 2 years, whatever it may be. Especially, I think Quantumania is when like there was the explosion and it really got like really like fiery, and then Secret Invasion. This Kelsey Grammer's sweet voice was like the little foam they used to like cover up the fire, and it just was like I was like, it's gonna be all right. We talked about it, I think during the Loki finale. The next MCU movie is Deadpool 3. They can't screw my feelings up between now and then, unless is there a show in between those two times? I think there's What If, which is like
the only thing in the whole slate. Yeah. What If?
I think What If, which is like a cartoon. It's not part of the universe as much. So it's like, I'm good right now. I'm good until whenever Deadpool 3 ends up coming out. I am fine. I am excited. I'm going to go down a whole bunch of YouTube theory, rabbit holes, and all that shit about. I saw Heavy Spoilers thinks it might be the Illuminati one from Doctor Strange, which I would rather. I'd rather it be an X-Men universe or a universe we've never met before. I don't really want to go back to the Doctor Strange one because like so much shit has happened in that universe, obviously thanks to Wanda. I kind of want to have something that's a little more fresh and unscathed, and we could just really meet some fucking X-Men.
Are you a big X-Men person, Gia?
Yes, I feel like I was kind of younger when they first came out. So like X-Men Origins, which one is the ones with like Jennifer Lawrence as?
Oh God. this is
Origins
like,
is not the one you want to be in on.
No.
Jennifer Lawrence, that's like First Class.
Okay, I think it's First Class. I like Origins. Is that the one with Sophie Turner?
No, that's also in the First Class like era. That's Dark Phoenix. Origins is the one that originally has Ryan Reynolds as like a bad version of Deadpool.
Okay.
Kevin Bacon is Sebastian Stan, right? That's in one of those.
I don't know if I.
Oh, that's a good one. So I apologize for like my reaction, but so there was a time back in the day on KFC Radio where one of the people who worked for us, Charlie Wisco, talked to KFC and said he thought Nintendo 64 was the first ever Nintendo, not knowing the Nintendo I grew up on with the old Mario Brothers and Super Nintendo. And when you said X-Men Origins, I'm thinking Bobby's talking about the original X-Men movie that had, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, had Famke Janssen as Jean Grey, obviously Xavier. And then I'm thinking the cartoon, which was in the 90s. Neither of you were even close to being born in the 90s. So I was just realizing my own mortality at that point when you said that. So I think you have a little bit of a homework assignment, Gia. You might have to catch up on some X-Men here because I am an X-Men diehard.
I'm looking right now. I've definitely seen X-Men through X-Men X2. I've seen The Last Stand. I've seen First Class. I've seen Days of Futures Past, but I don't think I've seen any. I never saw Logan. X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, Logan's really good.
Yeah,
Apocalypse is terrible. I refuse.
Yeah, Apocalypse is not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very hit and miss.
Yeah, so I know Beast. I know that everything about it. But I guess it doesn't do it for me quite as much as I feel like it does it for you guys. Maybe because I don't have as much as an emotional connection to X-Men. I really like Deadpool too. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm really interested to see how the merging of the X-Men with the Avengers is going to go, and hopefully they don't do it in like a cheesy way. I don't know.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
They got to nail it because they haven't nailed it in the comics. They did an Avengers versus X-Men comic in like 2012. It wasn't good, which, it's tough because you want them to play off like the best comics. Like they were able to do the whole Infinity Gauntlet War storyline by loosely basing it off of the stuff that had come before it. That one, not great, but this is good. They'll have to really prove themselves to Gia. Me and Clem, just the nostalgia we're going to be like, that was awesome, no matter what.
They did the from the cartoon, and I was like, oh, it was a puddle when they did that in the movie theater. So listen, Robbie, like you said, with the source material, they have to go somewhere between the Infinity Gauntlets, the Infinity Saga, and Secret Invasion. That is their window right there. I think they can fit it somewhere within that window, and we'll be all right with it. I never even really followed the X-Men versus the Avengers. I thought the Avengers were kind of like the Walmart version of X-Men growing up because X-Men were my shit.
Same.
So, and I I always thought Iron Man was this like loser nerd with a clunky suit. Then they made him, wise cracking fucking Robert Downey Jr. And he was awesome and used all the modern technology. So that's kind of where I think we all stood with the MCU going into this phase was, man, they made the fucking Iron Man look cool. I can't imagine what they're going to do with like all this other stuff plus Fantastic Four and X-Men. I'm like, you just play it safe and you hit like singles and doubles with the X-Men. I'll honestly be thrilled. I also like was so bummed because I thought Sophie Turner would be such a good Jean Grey. I watched a little bit of the Apocalypse movie and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Gia, where do we stand on Sophie Turner? Is she an enemy of the Swifties? Is she an ally of the Swifties?
No, she's an ally. She's an ally. Taylor Swift gave her apartment to stay in when she was like going through her divorce.
But she's not an ally, a Fran though, because Fran is are you a Jonas diehard like Fran?
Oh.
I am a big Jonas fan. I'm not a diehard like Francesca, but I will say Francesca would probably say the same thing, that we still stand Sophie Turner. We still love her.
Okay. So you guys didn't get divorced. It was like you guys are like
we still love our mom and dad. Like they may not love each other anymore, but our love for them is still there. It's because Sophie Turner. Like, how can you hate Sophie Turner? She's so fucking cool. Everything she does, she's the queen of the North. Everything she does is awesome. Like, you can't not love her. And then Joe Jonas is so hot. He's Joe Jonas. Like, you can't not love him too.
All right, this is good for us to know in the basement.
And they both dated Joe Jonas. Sophie Turner and Taylor Swift both dated Joe Jonas.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize. I knew there was some sort of connective tissue between them. So there it is right there. Okay, so good to know. I just need to know where we stand because like this Taylor Swift thing is clearly not going away anytime soon. It's only going to grow. So it's going to I think everything's going to severely impact the MCU for the foreseeable future. Again, when she's dating Tom Hiddleston down the road, as I predicted, and that's going to come back. And there was rumors about her potentially being in Deadpool, right? Or did we make that up, Robbie?
There's still rumors.
Yes.
No,
there's still rumors.
Still rumors about it. Yeah. So there was rumors initially. Then people kind of came out and said, no, those are just rumors. That's not true. And then more people came out and were like, no, I'm pretty sure like she's going to be in it. So the initial rumor was that she might play an X-Men called Dazzler, who is like the perfect character for her. She's a singer. She has power. She's a pop star. Then it came out she might not be playing Dazzler. She might be playing herself. Like Deadpool might just meet Taylor Swift, which would be a very Deadpool, like fourth wall breaking Ryan Reynolds thing. She's like very good friends with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, like best friends.
She's also really good friends with Sean Levy. Sean Levy. Yeah, the director. Yeah.
So
I think that's like a very realistic thing that could happen.
That poor guy was in all the pictures when she was in the boxes, football games, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And he's just like, "Come on, man! Like, I'm in a big movie. I feel like he's a big deal for people that know him, but for everyone else, it's like that. When you're like next to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and all these other people, you are kind of like the other guy, right? I mean, Robbie, we know that whenever we go out to like whenever Dave's with us, and everyone's like,
the Disney boys,
picture of us with Dave. It's like, yeah, sure. Let me. It's an Android. Okay, is that how I take the picture? There you go, sir.
Hey, I just went down to Soho with Glennie Balls to check out, and this is going to be in Stool Scene, so look out for this. A $25 million Infinity Gauntlet. This company made an Infinity Gauntlet, partnered with Marvel, so Marvel's in on it, and they use real diamonds, real gems, $25 million. So they took us down to the safe where it's held. We weren't allowed to film like on our way down there because they don't want people to know where it is. Super secret, cool shit. They had an Eye of Agamotto worth a couple million. Crazy shit, right? I went down there and I was the other guy for Glennie Balls. People coming up to Balls asking for selfies. I was in the background of the selfies like Mike Wazowski on that magazine cover where he gets taken over by this. It was great. Just seeing Glennie Balls in his element like that was tremendous. I loved it.
I heard Glennie's like the king of Nashville. Like you go to Nashville and you get in like the back, you get cut the lines if Glennie Balls is with you.
Oh, yeah. Now let's do our fast food review. We do a little fast food review for every movie. We compare the movie to a fast food item. Now with mine, I went fast casual, not just fast food. I didn't know where to go with this. I'm going to say Miss Marvel for me was a Chipotle burrito that I watched the worker make wrong. So the whole time he was making it, I was like, I don't think he made that the way I asked him to make it. I'm pretty sure he put like beans in there, and I'm not a beans guy. But I felt too uncomfortable to tell him, hey, that you made my thing wrong. So I'm going to eat it. I know I'm not going to love it, but it's going to be fine. It's Chipotle.
It's a good way to put it.
I was similar vibe to you, Rob. I compared it to the bringing back of the chicken fries from Burger King. So not the OG chicken fries, but the new ones that they brought back. They just don't hit the same for some reason. You get the nostalgia, you get like you get what you want out of it, kind of get what you need, but it just doesn't feel the same as when you were a kid, coming home from a basketball game and your mom says you can get Burger King. And yeah, it's like it does what it needs to do, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Gia, I am amazed you just said that because I was right there with you. Basically, I was saying at some point Burger King changed their nuggets, and I remember people were like, "These are the worst nuggets ever." And I'm like, and I think I went to McDonald's, Burger King, and I got the nuggets, forgetting the reviews, and then I had them like, "Oh yeah, like these aren't that good." I was like, but I was expecting like inedible slop, basically, and it was better than that, right? I was like, they're fucking nuggets. You can't screw up nuggets. You can't screw up chicken fries. You can't screw up Chipotle. So it's like I had it. I was fine. I was able to sleep at night. Could have been better, but it could have been worse. And I think we've been hashtag it didn't suck. That's basically
yeah.
Didn't suck. Which is a positive. We came into this saying if it's even average, we're going to be pleasantly surprised. And I think it was average. I felt pleasantly surprised. We got a nice kickoff to the next era of Marvel with it. So you know what? It didn't suck. If you're listening to the end of the podcast, I was going to say go see it. If you're listening to it, the podcast at this point, you've probably seen it or you've probably made up your mind. But yeah, if you're a Marvel fan, go get popcorn at the movie theater. I got a big icy. It was worth it for the popcorn and icy.
I'm scared that I'm always just gonna have a little bit of a Marvel bias. Like they could put out a literal piece of poop, and I would watch it in the theater, and be like, it wasn't that bad. Like it was funny. Like it had parts that were good. Marvel will always have like a special place in my heart that I'll never be able to fully bash a movie unless it's Secret Invasion.
Yes. So I was going to say, I'm almost like my dumb sports fan brain. It's like with, I can always talk myself, it's going to be all right if this guy comes up or that guy comes up. With the Giants right now, Tommy DeVito playing quarterback, I'm like, we are not watchable. I don't even get mad during games. I'm like, we're just going to suck and it's going to be embarrassing. And I can't, I don't know if Marvel can ever hit that point. Gee, you reminded me. They hit that point with Secret Invasion. I'll look back at the Tommy DeVito years like, well, it could be worse. It could be Secret Invasion level of bad. So I think we're going to be okay moving forward. At least that's what I hope so. And Marvels is hopefully the very slow, trek back up. By the way, the reviews of the Marvels on Rotten Tomatoes from the audience isn't that bad. I think it was such bad, going into it, people didn't even want to review bomb it. Or, I think they have a little bit more protective devices set up so people can't review bomb as much, but it's not even just getting killed on the reviews, which I guess is nice. It didn't suck.
I feel like the people that were going to review bomb it or give it those reviews that they wrote before they even saw the movie probably just stayed away this time. They were probably like, I'm not even seeing the movie, which, make that choice. I would rather them not see it than just be toxic for the sake of being toxic. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I want to say one last thing about that movie and the review bombing that just reminded me, because it is a very woman-based movie. The three main characters are women, the villain's a woman, Valkyrie, everybody's coming in.
The love interest is a woman, apparently. We just found out.
Yeah, exactly. So I will say I really liked the three of their dynamic. The three women, Monica and Kamala and Captain Carol, and I think Marvel's has been doing a better job of putting women superheroes, getting their own movies and shows, and not making it that cheesy aspect of we're women and we're gonna fight together because we all are women. I liked how they never really addressed any parts of we're a girl squad. I like that part of it.
I feel like they never even brought that up.
Yeah, they never brought it up, and I like that because I feel like it should just happen naturally, and I feel like even having a woman villain, everything about it felt very natural to me. I honestly I didn't even think oh my God, this is one of the only women-centric superhero Marvel movies, at least, and I think they did it. I think they did that in a very good job.
I was like, yeah, if they had done like a triple high five and said "girl power" all at once, it would have felt weird. They didn't do that, and I appreciate them.
Yeah,
not doing that. It would have just
yeah.
So there you have it. That's our Marvel's reaction review. Not as bad as we thought. Hashtag it didn't suck. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're going to do for the show next week, though, because now we don't have Marvel shows to recap. We don't have Star Wars shows to recap. So in between now and next week, we're going to figure out something to do. I know, Clem, we talked about doing maybe like a Wire recap with Trent or something, if we could get him involved, because he loves The Wire, and I've never seen The Wire. It's your favorite show of all time. Maybe we'll do something like that. If you're interested, let us know. We'll figure out something to do, though.
Yeah, I think Marvel's going to give us a couple of like little nuggets now that the strikes are over. I feel like they're going to try to build up on this. So hopefully we get a couple little breadcrumbs. What does Ken Jack said? Give the pigs the slop. Hopefully get a little bit of slop for us to get all excited about.
Maybe, Fantastic Four casting. We're still looking out for that. Apparently it's like any day now they'll announce the Fantastic Four. Yeah, hopefully some news will break until from now until then. And thank you for watching the show. Make sure to give us a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on the podcast feed and you haven't given us a review on there, we'd appreciate that as well. Still, the climb to 50,000 for the end of the year subscribers on YouTube. We will see you next week.
I was trying to get the fireworks and they don't do it now. What happened?
Oh,
there it is.
There it is. I'll put that as a post-credit scene.